Somerset moved ahead of Durham on the penultimate day of their LV County Championship match in Taunton. Michael Richardson scored 100 and Chris Rushworth struck the best score of his career to keep their side in touch with their opponents, while Craig Overton claimed the first fifer of his career before the Somerset openers started their chase superbly. The third day began with Richardson and Mark Stoneman aiming to add to their second wicket partnership of 102, which had put their side 42 runs ahead at the halfway stage in what has become over the first 2 days a fascinating game of cricket. These two batsmen batted through the first 80 minutes of the day on a pitch which appears to have got easier to bat on as this game has progressed, often the case in Taunton, although the initial green nature of the surface is not often witnessed here. To emphasise that point, you only have to look at the way Stoneman played this shot off Craig Overton, which carried the distance to move the batsman onto 95, having begun the day on 60. He added 2 more runs in the same over, but then, having added 161 runs with Richardson in 52 overs, Stoneman pulled again, but gloved Craig Overton behind to Craig Kieswetter, who took a splendid and very important catch. The news overnight was that Scott Borthwick had cracked a finger in the field and was unlikely to bat, and so Gordon Mutchell came in next to take the total into the 200s. But his innings didn't last long. On 14, he top-edged a cut shot off George Dockrell and was held by James Hildreth to go with his side on 205 for 3 with a lead of 126. Richardson, who started this day on 57, batted patiently throughout the morning session and then went into the afternoon with Phil Mustard, a man in need of a score in the first-class game this summer. They added 20 more runs to keep the game evenly poised. Mustard has made only 1 score of note so far this year, and he was out for 10 on this occasion when he was well held at short leg by Marcus Trescothick, a man who doesn't really need to put the helmet on at this stage of his career. Richardson remained, and a slightly streaky shot took him to his second 100 of the season. He celebrated immediately, knowing the importance of this innings, which had thus far used up 202 balls, from which he'd struck 10 fours and 2 sixes. He needed to keep going now, that probably being the message from his partner Paul Collingwood. The Durham captain didn't stick around though. He went after the second new ball, an outswinger from Peter Trigo, which was drilled into the hands of Dockrell, which left the visitors on 241 for 5, with their lead now standing at 162. Now a lot relied on Richardson, who continued to excel. How Somerset now needed to see the back of him. And they nearly did when a leading edge nearly saw him caught by Craig Overton off his own bowling. The pressure was beginning to build on both sides, who were trying to protect their unbeaten records in the championship this year. Richardson was then bowled by Craig Overton for 116, taking his tally of runs in the championship this summer to 489, and the bowler then followed that up with a wicket of Mark Wood, who edged an expansive drive to Kieswetter. Somerset moved ahead of their opponent's next ball when Overton struck again, Jamie Harrison nicking to Hildreth to go for a golden duck and leave his side in trouble on 275 for 8 with a lead of 196. With Borthwick unlikely to bat, what appeared to be the last pair of Rushworth and debutant Ryan Pringle now had to eke out as many runs as they could. Into the last session of an excellent day, and Rushworth shocked many with some cracking shots. In 59 innings prior to this one, he had a top score of just 28, although he has been left not out on 21 occasions. He'd added 35 runs with Pringle for the 9th wicket until the latter gave Craig Overton a 5th wicket in an innings for the first time in his career. Pringle's hour-and-a-half vigil ended with an LBW on 17, with a total on 310. With the lead standing at 231, Borthwick did come out to bat after all to help Rushworth, who moved into the 40s with a big 6 off Dockrell. He would have scored his maiden half-century had Trigo not pulled off a stunning catch in the deep that removed Rushworth for 46. Durham were all out for 326, Borthwick bravely blocking out 14 balls. Overton ended with figures of 5 for 63. So Somerset were left with bags of time, as long as the weather holds on the last day, to make 248 runs to win for the second time this year. The usual slow starters to a summer have got off to a belter this time around, and Trescothick and Johan Myburg ensured that there was no let-up, as they set about their target in a very positive manner. In the 23 overs that remained in the day, this pair smashed 18 boundaries between them to give them a fantastic chance of securing an important win, one which will take them up to joint second place in the LV County Championship table. Targets around 250 can prove to be problematic, but these two thumped the ball to all parts of the ground to make it a much easier job on the final morning of the match. Myburgh ended the day with 48 runs to his name. This was his 7th boundary in an innings thus far lasting 63 deliveries, while Trescothick, looking right back to his best, secured his half-century before the close with his 10th 4 from the 65th ball he'd faced. The 100 was up in the 20th over as the home side threatened to make very light work of their chase. The problem may be the weather, although the forecasters have been wrong for much of the week. With Trescothick on 58 and Myburgh on 48, Somerset go into the last day on 112 without loss, and that leaves them only a further 136 runs to find on the last day. They are now big favourites.